is to speak on it. Today is Wednesday, December the 30th, 2020. It's almost over with. I lay down and I wake up. It's 2021. Just think, this time last year, it was a whole different situation throughout the world. But we found out sometime in March, when I say we, I'm talking about ordinary people like myself, that there was a plague that had been leashed upon humankind. But because of prayer, sacrifice, and other things, the Great Spirit touched the mind of the scientists. Those scientists have been able to do something that before Trump would not have been done. Anyone other than Trump would not have been done. They've gotten a vaccine that's being used on humans right now. Yeah, some of them still having some challenges. But the truth is, as many people have said that it was this or that, without the vaccine, we wouldn't have a glimpse of hope. But now that there's a vaccine, yes, others gonna die, ain't no doubt about it. The vaccine ain't gonna be perfect, ain't no doubt about it. But as many will not die because you got the vaccine. And that's what we need to look at. We need to look at this thing going into 2021, look for the blessing. Yeah, it's been a very heavy burden to carry. And no, I am not advocating that you take the vaccine. No, I'm not. But I am saying this, that had not it been for this clown that you like to call it, you wouldn't have no vaccine. You'd still be in a panic state. So you need to give credit to where credit is due. Yeah, you got some things, and you're going to see some things as we do this show. Some of them I didn't really want to show as it relates to the vaccine, because there are people that are having bad reactions. And I know it allows us, it helps us throw bricks rather than picking up pebbles. But for those of you that want to be here and are thankful to be here, stop blaming some human for the deaths that took place. This was a plague brought on. We told you this as it came into being. And many of you all look at the scriptures, you read it, and I was reading it this morning. I'm telling you, I almost brought that fetish down here and sit up on this damn table. Because as I was reading Isaiah, you know, we talked about it, Isaiah 26, chapter 20 and 21. This morning as I was looking at it, and I was thinking about how we deal with what has happened. Those of us that believe in what we believe in, we prayed, we sacrificed, and we take no credit because there's no credit due to us. But there were some things that were stated in the scripture. And we brought this to the attention of the ancestors and the Great Spirit. And now we see a vaccine. So when we look at it, we say, well, God has answered the prayer because now there is hope when there was none. So what do I do? Do I say no when I ask God for a solution? Do I say white folks is tricking me when I ask God for a solution? Do I believe like those bishops and archbishops and all those other people that just looked at the Bible but didn't possibly have the discernment to understand the depth of the Word of God? And tonight on the other menu, we got 3 hours, so I'm going to have me a reader. And we're going to work that Isaiah 26, 20, 21. But then there's a lot more, because there's a solution right there in Isaiah that talks about the vineyard, that talks about the red grapes. Oh, but you don't believe in that. You believe in that if people like me that talk to you about that, we pagan. you don't make me snap on you. We know what was done and we know what we see. And we know it ain't got nothing to do with us, but we know there was a plague and there is a plague upon mankind because mankind is so hard-headed, so evil. To God had to show him he don't run nothing. But now that God is alleviating the situation, maybe y'all need to thank God as this year passes out and praise him so things will begin to get better. But all this old negativity and all of these reasons not gonna get you buried. Brother, let's get off of that. Because like I said, I started reading this morning and the more I read, the clearer it got. And I read it many times, but this morning it was like I was seeing words clearly. I was hearing the words clearly. So I didn't bring the fetish because if you'd have saw the fetish, then you've been calling me all type of names and I don't give a. But I tell you this, you need to make offering to your ancestors. You need to pour libation. You need to give them a piece of bread. You need to give them a piece of candy. You need to stop being so damn selfish. You need to give them a little shot of wine. And them that like rum, don't get them drunk now because they'll start acting like you. Those that like gin, just don't get them drunk. Because you get them drunk, they're going to be the same fool they were when they was here. The same fool you are. But a little taste of red wine every now and then say, thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, ancestors. Remove this from me and my family. Remove this from mankind. And let go of 2020 and embrace 21. You understand? Just a little something. That's the Bokanon speaking. That's the Afar man speaking. Understand? But in all of that was the Baptist preachers before. And their understanding of the scripture in that little bit of truth we can find. But if your mind and your eyes are open, even in the contaminated truths in that King James political edition, you can find the formulas to deal with some of these problems. And I bear witness that these scientists were not on track to have this possible alleviating vaccine available had not it been for prayer and Trump. You know what, I'm hesitating? Because I'm trying not to go there with you all. $2,000, Trump trying to get it from McConnell. Pelosi, she tried to get on it. Now you're going to get 600. But you still say Trump was lying. You still say it was all on him. You did most. Brother, give me something else. I don't want to get into no politics. You know what I'm saying? I need to get off of it because I will tell you about yourself on this last day. Because now you're finna go into something. Well, lies are already being told. The damn Democrats are saying, well, if we give them $2,000, that's going to throw off the economy. Trump didn't say that. Trump said 600 ain't enough. Give them enough to get started. Give them enough. But here you are, you'd rather take 600 than believe that the man was advocating 200 was not lying. That's just show. And now, the Democrats in the House and others, they made it almost possible, but those Republicans, remember, Trump ain't a Republican, Trump is a Trump. No, and I wasn't going to let the end of the year go, although I didn't intend to speak on politics. But the truth is what it is. And because you voted against somebody, you didn't vote for somebody. And now your vote is going to turn against you. Now, old thing saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that $50,000 student loan forgiving debt. See what I'm saying? Already. So you just need to think about it, but if you pay attention, maybe COVID won't be so overbearing. And then maybe your political decisions will slap you in your face. And then instead of thinking that you're the backbone of some damn Democratic Party, maybe you'll grow a backbone and start being the backbone of your community. Now let's get started with these damn carjacking.
Oh, my husband's back.
Heartbreaking. Her husband gave up his car, but the carjackers killed him anyway. The father murdered checking the mail. Tonight, his widow speaking only to CBS 2. Our Jermont Terry live with what he's finding out about the investigation. Good evening, Jermont.
Good evening, Brad. Many of the murders in Chicago are sharing a common thread. They center around guns, vehicles, and someone trying to take those vehicles by force. Such was the case in Bridgeport when carjackers approached a loving husband and father. Yet, despite giving up the SUV, the robbers killed him anyway.
Oh, my husband's back.
Fighting back the tears, Hong Yu-bai struggles to accept the fact her husband, Shuai Guan, is gone.
It's the worst thing in my life.
Her nightmare started Monday when carjackers approached her husband outside their home at 30th and Union. Bai's father knew something was wrong when he drove by and saw police surrounding her husband's white Jeep Cherokee.
And my father just called me and said, you better come home.
When she arrived, Bai learned the commotion outside her house would leave her family with a huge void.
I just asked him, please tell me he's alive. He's still alive. They say sorry. They say sorry. I said, please let me to see him. I don't touch him.
The investigation reveals as Guam double parked to check the mail, several gunmen pulled up in stolen vehicles demanding his Jeep. He gave up the keys and the Jeep, then backed away.
No, they didn't take the car. They don't know how to drive the car.
Mad at that fact, the carjackers fired a single shot, leaving the 4-year-old without a father.
I don't know what the police can do.
Across Chicago, carjackings have more than doubled. So far, 1,400 compared to 604 carjackings in all of 2019.
This wasn't a carjacking, it was a murder.
11th Ward Alderman Pat Thompson tells me this case, along with the startling stat, proves Chicago needs state and federal help when it comes to gun violence surrounding these crimes.
I know a lot of my neighbors and friends all are getting concealed carry, and this will be like the Wild West soon. Everyone's going to have it, and people are going to start using it, and that's what's the scary point.
And as police search for the gunman, this widow is forced to have the uncomfortable conversation with their 4-year-old son, trying to explain why his dad won't be home. Live outside police headquarters tonight, Jermont Terry, CBS 2 News. Brad?
Our heart breaks for her. Thank you, Jermont.
Yeah, just keep going, Amara. Do all of the carjacking, then I have one commentary for all of them.
Crime made headlines today. Carjacked on Christmas. A grandmother is speaking out tonight about a terrifying experience that she had this morning.
Yeah, she was pulling in to get gas. Somebody pulled a gun on her. WGN's Ronan Tumulty is joining us now from outside CPD headquarters with the very latest. Ronan, good evening.
Good evening, guys. Yeah, we're told that that gun was pulled on her after she stopped to get gas. Police say 2 men approached her, demanded the keys, and took off in her car. And she says that car was filled with presents for her grandkids.
I thought I was going to lose my life today. I'll never forget that.
Alexandra Williams was on her way to work this morning when she saw the fuel tank was low. So she pulled in here at the gas station on Garfield and King Drive to fill up. That's when her Christmas was turned upside down.
They had a gun to my head, and I thought I wasn't going to see my kids no more, my grandkids no more.
She'd just gotten out of her vehicle when police say 2 men showed up, pulled a gun on her, and demanded her keys.
Took my Christmas gift for my grandkids, things was in the back seat.
They took off westbound on Garfield Boulevard, a car full of gifts in tow, presents for Williams' grandkids. The vehicle was later found dumped in Inglewood, with some of the gifts still inside. Along with others, Williams says must have been stolen from other people.
They just picked and sorted through the stuff they wanted to take, and they left more stuff. Some ones they took from somewhere else, more gift bags in my car. Some gifts they took from someone else.
While getting the car and some of the gifts back is a relief,
I'm glad the police was here to, save my crystal, get my vehicle back. But the more so I'm glad I got my life back, because I could have lost my life.
Anyone's grandmother getting carjacked is the last thing you'd expect on what's supposed to be one of the most joyous days of the year.
Y'all do not do people like that. Y'all don't come into people's life and tear their life apart like that, Christmas time like this. Y'all traumatized me. I'll never forget that incident, what happened to me, what y'all did to me. I will never forget that.
Now, you've probably heard us talking a lot about carjackings in the recent weeks and it's not because we enjoy it, it's because the numbers have skyrocketed this year. Between January 1st and December 20th, there were 1,400 carjackings within the city of Chicago. That's compared to just over 600 in the same period last year. And so far this year, 173 arrests compared to 131 in 2019. And no arrests thus far in this case, but if you do have any information that could help police, they want to hear from you. We're live outside CPD headquarters. Brona Tumulty, WGN News.
What a story there, Brona. Thank you.
There's 2 more of those. So I just want you all to suck it in. Suck it in. This ain't because of the Great Spirit. This is not a plague that came from nature. This is a plague that came from sorry-ass politicians and so-called, I don't even know what to call these creatures. They're critters. But this is not something that can't be controlled. This is something that there's an antidote for this. It's been there all the time. You see the statistics.
Walter E. Smith's biggest clear.
See, this don't make sense. This didn't have to be. This ain't like Corona. This is because you damn politicians are just too sorry. You can't even arrest nobody. And when you arrest them, you let them out. And you make excuses and say they children. And instead of charging them with felonies like they committing crimes, you charge them with misdemeanors and give them a $5 bond so they can go home and do it again. How long will we, the citizens, tolerate these sorry politicians? How long? Come on, Amara, let's move around. I don't know what's happening with this one. All right.
My life was almost taken from me and from my family and my daughter. That's a big deal.
Facing guns and fearing death, Tiara Rogers remembers this moment near her Bellwood home. Carjackers demanding her phone and her car keys.
And I was trying to tell them please don't kill me. You can have everything.
It happened Wednesday about 10 p.m.
All I wanted at the end was just to survive this. And those moments felt like a lifetime, even though it seemed so fast.
I don't know what I would have done if I would have lost another child. This gun violence has to stop.
In 2016, Tiara Rogers' brother, Matthew, was shot to death after leaving a Wicker Park club. The case is still unsolved. Tiara thought about him and her 4-year-old daughter.
My brother was killed. He turned and ran. And I didn't want to turn and run and them shoot me in my back.
After Tiara was carjacked in this neighborhood, there was another carjacking 90 minutes later, just a mile away.
We're not prepared to say that they are connected, but there are some similarities in it.
The carjackers took her purse, phone, and 2010 Mercury. They didn't take her life.
I'm so happy that she ran, and I'm like, oh my God, what if they would have shot her? Words can't describe how I feel about what just happened.
I don't even know how I got out of that situation. I don't know why they didn't shoot me.
A life spared, but tonight these criminals have not been caught.
Health is on everyone's mind lately, but don't.
Now I want you to think about that as we find the last piece. The last piece is going to be another woman. Her and her children, people in the car. And these savages all over the city. You got a police department, you got a sheriff department, you got the Fed, you got the county.
Watching tonight, but after seeing Lieutenant Williams get ambushed in that botched carjacking, we knew we had an obligation to warn the public.
These armed suspects clearly willing to do whatever it takes to get this Jeep Grand Cherokee. Carjackings and car thefts are on the rise across Chicago and the surrounding neighborhoods.
One of them came towards my side of the door and he had a gun. And he started banging the glass of my door, screaming, get out of the truck.
The only memory of the Jeep SRT 8 Hellcat is this photo.
He shoved a gun to my side and he's like, get out.
Q was driving for Lyft and got a request for a pickup on Chicago's South Side.
I heard the second kid, getting in the car and laughing.
Listen to the video of one of the members of this carjacking crew. His voice hasn't even reached maturity.
Are you whipping that? What?
4 miles away, garage cam video in the Beverly neighborhood captured Jessica's Dodge Durango SRT being stolen right out of her driveway.
The sergeant on hand told us that they're really using these as getaway cars because they're faster than your average police vehicle.
They eventually push it away and are able to get it started. But how? On sites like Amazon, devices are being sold that allow thieves to hack into the computer system and have full access to start an array of vehicles. Some are easier to steal compared to others.
Especially the Dodge Chargers. There are devices out there that can that basically duplicate the key fob code.
Chicago Dodge Charger thefts from January through October of 2019 are up almost double for the same time period this year. There are groups on social media where Dodge, Chrysler, and Jeep owners have complained about their cars being easier to steal. Fiat Chrysler Automobiles responded with this statement. FCA vehicles meet or exceed all applicable federal safety standards. While such events are rare, they are not exclusive to any make or model of the vehicle. Notwithstanding, we urge all motorists to take due care in securing their vehicles. This stolen Dodge Charger SRT Hellcat, worth more than $60,000, was hidden behind an abandoned Chicago home. Thieves print off phony VIN numbers and even go as far as getting the vehicle registered in their names with fake insurance. In 2019, there were 501, more than doubling in 2020 with very few arrests. Carjacking is a federal crime.
We have significant penalties for carjackers.
Sometimes you are defenseless because they are armed and running in packs. But the best advice is the old saying to be aware of your surroundings and give them what they want.
You scan the parking lot, see if anybody is looks like they're following you.
So you may be asking yourself the question tonight, what can I do to protect myself? Some owners remove the fuse for the fuel pump or the ASD relay, preventing the car from starting. You can also buy a RIFD blocker wallet for your key fob, or you can wrap that key in lots of foil so thieves can't get to the signal. Live from Studio 32 tonight, I'm Tia Ewing.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, you can go buy your AR-15. You understand? You heard the autumn of them down there in Bridgeport, conceal and carry. See, but now here you got a black mayor, black state's attorney, black county board president, black lieutenant governor, all these females that y'all say are search the backbone of everything. What the hell? They supposed to have more compassion. They supposed to know that you need discipline. They supposed to know that you need structure. They supposed to know that you need consequence. But ain't now one of them doing a damn thing about this. No. But if there was a white person in the office, you would be talking about a recall. But because you got these characters in office, it don't seem like it's important. The only thing about crime that we heard lately from the mayor here, and had not Miss Young and the lawyer and the media forced the hand, you wouldn't have heard about this. It's like she don't even know what a crime is, but they say she was a prosecutor. If you was all that, and you always threatening to sue Trump back then, why in the hell don't you and Kim Foxx get together? And since carjacking is a federal crime, anybody, don't give a damn what age they are. You heard that little 9-year-old boy. 9, 13, 12. Why don't you let the feds handle this? Since you all can't handle it, turn anything related to vehicles to the feds. Because you're talking about vehicular trespass. Damn, you done stole my car. You done killed my relative. And then you got the nerve, prosecutor, state's attorney, to let this garbage back on the street. Calling it a misdemeanor when all you got to do, figure out a way to give it to the Fed, and anybody that do anything with somebody's car, take their car, get caught in their car. They caught some creatures the other day out in Oakland. 5 or 6 deep. Juveniles and all. One of them had a 9mm. These bastards treat them as if they had committed a misdemeanor and let them out, $10,000 bond. So you know everybody's out now. How can it be? They in a stolen vehicle, got some fake plates on it, a carjacked vehicle. But it's not important. The person that lost everything, and you give them a bond for $1,000, really. So they walk. Because they're using the cars to do crime. They're using the cars to sell. So they got the money. But that's what you think about the citizen, Mayor Kim Foxx. You think so little of the citizens until you let these damn criminals triple the havoc they raised last year. You know, where's that damn Quinn? He was running around getting a recall petition against Rahm Emanuel. Why don't you lapdogs go find Quinn? Y'all start putting together some recall petitions. Brother, let's go on to something else.
It's Walter E. Smith's biggest clearance.
While he
sale
getting to
of the
that,
year
now we
with
finna go
big
off into this
discounts.
COVID thing.
Up to 7.
Because this COVID thing is a serious thing. COVID is something that we had no control over. But all this crime in the streets of Chicago, it don't have to be. It's because you got inept politicians. I'm saying that. I mean, let me just say this. I'm saying that.
Well, Rob, this site is open but by appointment only. There is an online registration that must be followed with the Chicago Department of Public Health before anyone can show up here. And as we showed earlier, the first in line was Chicago's Public Health Commissioner.
Ready?
Ready.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
With a shot to the arm, Chicago's top doctor gets vaccinated.
Honestly, can't even feel it.
Dr. Allison Arwady says there was no jumping ahead of the line for her. As an outpatient healthcare worker, the vaccine is open for her as it is for thousands of other Chicago healthcare workers not in hospital settings. People like Chris Ballinger, who treats COVID patients at a physician's immediate care.
Recently, we've had quite an uptake in patients, and so it's nice to finally get to this point.
Ballinger had no hesitation taking the vaccine, nor did Dr. Florence Roche, who also works at an immediate care facilities.
It's a start. It's always, good to be hopeful and to have just a sense of like, okay, well, we're in the right direction.
Moving forward, starting today, the city is using Malcolm X College as a vaccination super site for healthcare workers outside of hospital settings, but they must have an appointment before showing up.
The first thing is to make sure that your practice has already registered with the City of Chicago. That can be a dental practice, that can be an outpatient practice, that can be a school nurse.
After registration, the city sends a code in order to make an appointment. Once you do get vaccinated, the city follows up with text messages asking about any side effects. Dr. Arwady says It's a process that is likely to take the next couple months with the first phase. She does not expect vaccinations to begin with the next group, 1B, for several weeks. For teachers, it may be a bit longer.
If I had to put an approximate guess on it, it would be sort of spring, so potentially a March, April kind of timeline. But again, it just all depends on how much vaccine we get here.
And eventually, the city does plan on opening more sites at other city colleges. As for this site, the Pfizer vaccine was given out, so everyone who showed up here must come back in 3 weeks to get that second dose. Live at Malcolm X College, Sarah Schulte, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. Karen, back to you.
We're going to just run through all of this COVID stuff, but as he find the pieces, then I'll back up. But in the meantime, know this. The first vaccination was over there at La Ola, and now they're at Malcolm X. And I wonder why they're doing all of this in the Negro neighborhood, huh? Do you think they care about you? We'll see.
Get treated for their bad blood. Instead, hundreds of poor black men became participants unknowingly in a shocking and truly shameful chapter of American medical history. In 1932, the United States Public Health Service launched an unethical research project to examine the effects of untreated syphilis. The project was called the Tuskegee Study because it recruited 600 black men living in Tuskegee, Alabama. Researchers told the men that they were being treated for bad blood, a term used locally to describe anything from fatigue to anemia. They promised the men free medical treatment if they participated. While 2/3 of the men in the study were confirmed to have syphilis, not one received proper treatment for the disease they had contracted.
So this was a study in which there was no consent on the part of those who were being studied, also deception on the part of the U.S. government.
When penicillin became the recommended treatment for syphilis in the 1940s, Tuskegee researchers scandalously withheld the drug from the men in the study so that they could continue to chart the course of the disease when untreated. Many patients experienced damage to their vital organs and nervous systems, and for some, the lack of treatment led to death.
The great shame of the study is that the men thought that they were being treated. Treatment was withheld from them, even after it was very clear what kind of medical treatment would cure them of syphilis.
In 1972, an Associated Press article exposed the Tuskegee study after one of the participants brought the story to a civil rights attorney. Only then, after 40 years, was the study brought to an end. The case was settled out of court for $10 million.
This long history of medical experimentation on African Americans creates a sense of distrust, a distrust of doctors and physicians, a distrust of medical care.
In 1997, President Bill Clinton formally apologized to the victims of the study. The president's apology was a welcome first step, but we still have a long way to go before the legacy of mistrust of science within the black community is fully overcome.
Now you're going to see a black nurse and see what happened to her. Then you understand why folks don't want to deal with it. But you got to get through it somehow.
Hi, I am a registered nurse in Nashville, Tennessee, and my name is Khalilah Mitchell. I'm reaching out to everyone about the COVID-19 vaccination. I recently took the COVID-19 vaccination. After the shot, I felt fine, but within 3 days, I went to the doctor because I had problems with my face. The whole left side of my face, actually. I have Bell palsy now. And as you can see, I can't smile. I'm trying to smile. I'm just getting embarrassed for it. But I just want everyone to know that I think this vaccination is the worst thing ever. And I would not give this to anybody, even my worst enemy. Please, America, they do not care about us. Do not take this vaccination.
If I don't preach.
Well, I don't want to really say too much on that because I almost didn't use it because it's a serious matter. Now, here's another nurse. Let's see his experience.
Experts weighing in after a local nurse tested positive for COVID-19 8 days after receiving the Pfizer vaccine. As ABC 10 News reporter Michael Chen tells us, a doctor involved with the local vaccine rollout says this case does not reveal anything about the vaccine's effectiveness.
This was a Facebook post from Matthew, an ER nurse at 2 different local hospitals after receiving the Pfizer vaccine December 18th. He tells me his arm was sore for a day, but he suffered no other side effects. 6 days later, on Christmas Eve, after working a shift in the COVID unit, he became sick, he writes in another Facebook post. He got the chills and later came down with muscle aches and fatigue. The day after Christmas, he went to a drive-up hospital testing site and tested positive for COVID-19.
Not unexpected at all, and when you work through the numbers, this is exactly what we would expect to happen if someone is exposed.
Dr. Christian Ramers is an infectious disease specialist on the clinical advisory panel for the county's vaccine rollout. He points out it's possible Matthew may have been infected before receiving the vaccine, as the incubation period may be as much as 2 weeks. But Dr. Ramers says if Matthew did contract it after the vaccine, it's still in line with what we know.
We also know from the vaccine clinical trials that it takes about 10 to 14 days for you to start to develop protection from the vaccine.
Dr. Raymer says he knows of several other local cases where healthcare workers became infected around the time they received the vaccine. He says all of these cases illustrate that results are not immediate, and even after you start receiving some protection, it is not full protection.
That first dose gives you, we think, somewhere around 50% protection, and then you need that second dose to get up to 95%.
Dr. Raymer says Matthew's story also shows that even with vaccines, the pandemic isn't going to turn around instantly.
Optimistic about, the vaccine being the beginning of the end, but it's going to be a slow roll for weeks to months as we roll out the vaccine.
Michael Chen, ABC 10 News.
Dr. Raymer says this case is a good reminder of why masks, hand washing, and other protocols are important even after receiving the vaccine. Meanwhile, Matthew tells us he's feeling better since his symptoms peaked Christmas Day, but he still feels tired.
Well, we're going to end this with a piece, if we got time, clergy and clinician. Negroes, pay attention. Well, while he getting that lined up.
So, Pastor Harris and everyone that's listening, I want you to lean in for a second, because I want this answer to be very clear. Blacks are 4 times as likely to die from COVID-19.
Just wait a while, it's coming. They're finna give you some information that's gonna be very, very
Donald Trump's
interesting. And I would suggest that we need to pay attention. We need to get as much information as we can. And we need to make the decision that we feel is best for us and those that are connected to us. But the truth of the matter is this. What we saw with that young black nurse, that seemed to be a very serious situation to overlook. Yes, other people that had allergic reactions. But her reaction, a whole nother disease. Yeah, it's going to make it hard for some of us to do what we, it's going to make it hard. And I just want to provide information. And I'm hoping that we can find this piece, clinician and clergy. That was the piece. It just takes a while for them to click from the university heading to the interview with the clergy. So I don't know what's happening here, but let me just say this. In the meantime, we just might, let's just try that. It's going to show
Everyone
us.
that's listening, I want you to lean in for a second, because I want this answer to be very clear.
Yeah.
Blacks are 4 times as likely to die from COVID-19.
Well, I think
Well, the piece is too important not to do. We got enough time to do that piece? Because I need to send it to you again, because that piece is crucial in helping people make a decision that might actually save their life. And I don't know, maybe somehow or another something here is amiss. But this piece here really need to be played, because, I don't know. I mean, I don't know why. I saw both characters in the piece. I saw the doctor and I saw the clinician, and I'm wondering, why is it they ain't showing up? Because hell, it's all on the same video. So, I don't want to. No, I'm not doing it. I'm gonna sit here. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it back, because you need to know what these people are talking about, and maybe Amari can see this and resubmit it. Now I'm finna resubmit it to Amari, and Amari, I hope you can just take it from where I'm sending it to you and give it to these folks so they can get this information, so they can keep living. Now, meanwhile, while he doing that, COVID-19 and a lot of other things are not just challenges.
That's listening, I want you to lean in for a second, because I want this answer to be very clear. Blacks are 4 times as likely to die from COVID-19.
Just let it run. Let's just let it stay there for a minute. Then they're gonna come back to the preacher, and the preacher gonna be interviewing this doctor.
Donald Trump did not spend
the
this
hell?
past Christmas Eve like most people would typically spend a Christmas Eve. He
All right, maybe there's some reason they don't let you play these things completely. I don't know what the hell is going on here. I mean, I've been looking at it regularly. And now, for whatever reason, you got this other thing popping in the mix of this. So, until next week, Alafia, peace, and good health.